Welcome back to our channel where we share updates and untold stories about. The moon hung low over the Kentucky hills, its silvery light spilling across the twisted oaks and ivy-choked fences surrounding the old maple grove inn, a place locals whispered about but rarely visited after dark. But on this particular Halloween night, the haunted halls weren't filled with ghosts. They were filled with laughter, love, and the soft rustle of lace as Amy Slaton, star of 1,000 Pounds, Sisters, walked down the aisle toward her new husband, Brian Lovvorn. It was a wedding that blended romance, redemption, and a touch of the supernatural, the kind of spooky fairy tale only Amy could dream up. A Halloween fairy tale comes true. For months, fans speculated about Amy's love life after her split from Michael Halterman. Many wondered if she'd given up on finding her forever person. But Amy, now slimmer, stronger, and more confident than ever, found herself drawn to Brian, a gentle, down-to-earth man she met at a local fall festival in Dixon, Kentucky. "He didn't know who I was at first," Amy admitted with a grin in a pre-wedding interview. "He just asked if I wanted to try the caramel apple contest with him. I was sticky, I was laughing, and I thought, this is it. This is how love is supposed to feel." Their whirlwind romance unfolded over the summer: pumpkin patch dates, fishing trips, and late-night ghost story marathons. By September, Brian had proposed in the most Amy way possible, inside a haunted corn maze, surrounded by flickering jack-o'-lanterns. So when it came time to choose their wedding date, October 31st was the obvious choice. "I told Brian, if I can't have a spooky wedding, I don't want one at all," Amy said with a giggle. "Halloween's always been my favorite holiday. Why not make it my favorite anniversary too?" The haunted venue, Maple Grove Inn. The couple chose Maple Grove Inn, a 19th-century estate turned bed and breakfast just outside Owensboro, Kentucky. The inn, with its creaky staircases and rumored ghostly guests, was the perfect mix of creepy and charming. "People say the spirit of Miss Maple still roams the halls," Amy said, eyes twinkling. "She's supposed to be a bride who was left at the altar in the 1800s. I figured if she's still here, maybe she'd like to see a happy ending this time." The innkeeper, Margaret Holloway, confirmed that strange happenings had already started in the days before the wedding. "Every time we lit a candle, it would flicker out, but only when we were setting up near the old mirror in the ballroom," she said with a shiver. Amy just laughed and said, "Miss Maple's helping with the mood lighting." Despite the eerie atmosphere, the venue was transformed into a Halloween dreamscape: black lace tablecloths, floating candles, pumpkin centerpieces, and a massive chocolate cake shaped like a Gothic castle. The bride, Gothic glam. Amy stunned guests when she appeared at the top of the staircase, wearing a black and purple lace gown that shimmered under the candlelight. The dress, custom designed by a local seamstress, featured off-the-shoulder sleeves, a sweetheart neckline, and a dramatic flowing train trimmed with tiny embroidered bats. Her hair, dyed a deep plum shade, was curled into soft waves and crowned with a jeweled spider tiara. She carried a bouquet of black roses, deep red dahlias, and baby's breath painted silver, tied together with velvet ribbons. When asked about her bold bridal choice, Amy said, "I've always loved Gothic stuff. I didn't want to look like every other bride. I wanted to feel powerful, like Morticia Addams meets fairy tale princess." Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Her makeup artist added dark smoky eyes, glittery purple eyeliner, and deep wine lipstick to complete the look. Fans online later called it the best Amy has ever looked: confident, radiant, and totally herself. The groom, sweet Southern charm. Brian kept things simple but sharp in a black velvet suit with a silver vest and tie. His boutonniere matched Amy's bouquet, a single black rose dusted with glitter. When Amy walked down the aisle, Brian visibly teared up. "She took my breath away," he said afterward. "I couldn't believe someone so beautiful was walking toward me. It felt like a dream." The ceremony took place under a massive crystal chandelier in the inn's ballroom. As the officiant began to speak, a cold breeze swept through the room, rattling the curtains. A few guests exchanged nervous glances, but Amy only smiled. "That's just Miss Maple saying hi," she whispered to Brian. Family and fandom. The guest list was small but heartfelt. Tammy Slaton, Amy's sister and fellow 1,000 pounds, Sister Star, served as maid of honor, a proud, emotional role she took very seriously. "I cried 3 times before the ceremony even started," Tammy confessed. "Amy's been through so much. To see her standing there, glowing and happy, made me believe in love again." Tammy, who has lost over 400 pounds since her own transformation journey, wore a deep emerald green gown that perfectly complemented Amy's gothic look. She even gave a tearful speech during the reception, saying, "Amy, you've always been my ride or die. Seeing you find someone who treats you the way you deserve. I know Mama's smiling down right now." Also in attendance were Amy's 2 sons, Gage and Glenn, both dressed as tiny vampires for the occasion. They stole the show during the family photos, baring their fake fangs and chasing each other through the candlelit halls. Several of Amy's 1,000 pounds, Sisters co-stars, including Amanda Halterman and Chris Combs, also showed up to celebrate. Chris joked, "I told Amy I'd wear a costume, but she said my face was scary enough already." Spooky surprises. The reception was anything but ordinary. The newlyweds entered to the tune of Michael Jackson's Thriller, with Amy and Brian leading their guests in a choreographed dance complete with zombie moves. Dinner included playful dishes like monster mash, mashed potatoes, graveyard barbecue ribs, witch's brew punch, and a dessert bar of ghost-shaped cookies and blood-red velvet cupcakes. The wedding cake, a 5-tier Gothic masterpiece, was made of chocolate, black fondant, and edible silver webs. When the couple sliced it open, red velvet oozed out like dripping blood. Amy laughed so hard she almost smeared frosting on her tiara. But the night wasn't without its haunted happenings. Around midnight, the lights flickered, and one of the servers swore she saw a shadowy figure in a vintage gown gliding past the hallway mirror. "Everybody froze for a second," Tammy said later. Then Amy raised her glass and said, "To Miss Maple, thanks for not crashing my wedding." The whole room burst out laughing. Tammy's special gift. One of the most touching moments came during Tammy's toast. She handed Amy a small velvet box and said, "This was Grandma's. She wanted you to have it when you found true love." Inside was a silver locket containing a photo of Amy and Tammy as kids on Halloween, dressed as witches and holding plastic pumpkins. Amy broke into tears. "We didn't have much growing up," she said. "But we had each other. Tammy's my best friend, my sister, my hero." It was a moment that brought even the ghost-hardened Maple Grove staff to tears. A night to remember. As the night wore on, guests danced beneath strings of orange fairy lights while fog machines filled the air with an eerie mist. Brian surprised Amy with a firework display outside the inn, purple, gold, and silver bursts that illuminated the starry Kentucky sky. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. The couple shared one last slow dance to "I Put a Spell on You," swaying under the ancient oak trees. "Being with Brian feels peaceful," Amy said quietly afterward. "For so long, I didn't think I deserved love like this. But now, I do. I earned this." At the end of the night, Amy changed into a black tulle mini dress and combat boots, while Brian slipped into jeans and a hoodie. They drove off in a hearse-turned wedding car, decorated with signs reading, "Till death and after, do us part. Happily ever after," with a spooky twist. In the days following the wedding, Amy shared a few photos on social media, though she kept most details private. Fans flooded the comments with love and support. "She deserves this happiness so much," one fan wrote. "She's glowing inside and out," another added. And Tammy cheekily commented, "Best Halloween ever, even the ghosts were happy." Amy and Brian planned to spend their honeymoon in Savannah, Georgia, a city known for its haunted history and romantic Southern charm. "We might do a ghost tour," Amy teased. "Or maybe just relax. Either way, I get to call him my husband. That's all that matters." A new chapter for Amy Slaton. For Amy, this wedding wasn't just about saying "I do." It was about reclaiming her joy after years of struggle. From battling food addiction and health scares to enduring public scrutiny and heartbreak, she's emerged stronger and more self-assured than ever. "I used to think love meant losing yourself for someone else," she reflected. "But now I know it means finding someone who helps you be more you." Tammy echoed that sentiment, saying, Amy's always had a big heart. She just needed someone who saw it. Not her past, not her size, just her. Brian's that guy. Fans can expect to see glimpses of Amy's new chapter on upcoming episodes of 1,000 Pounds Sisters, though sources say much of the ceremony itself was kept off camera at Amy's request. She wanted this to be real, said a close friend. Not for the show, not for the cameras, just for her and Brian. Epilogue: The Ghost Bride's Blessing. 2 days after the wedding, the innkeeper called Amy with a curious story. When I came downstairs this morning, she said, the mirror in the ballroom wasn't fogged up anymore. And someone had written the words, "Thank you," in the dust on the window ledge. Amy laughed when she heard it. Guess Miss Maple finally got her happy ending too, she said. And in a way she had. As the final candle flickered out in the old Maple Grove Inn, it felt as though the ghosts of the past had finally found peace, and Amy Slaton had found her own kind of forever. Subscribe the channel to get such videos.